Hi everybody, it is March 29th, Tuesday here. It's 10:30 in the morning. I'm going to take care of this and then I'm heading over to my friend John Gilliton's house. Great keyboard player, songwriter. He played with James Taylor for a number of years and was Linda Ronstadt's musical director. And he called and he said, I got a track I'd love for you to play on. I'll send you files for it. And we started talking, and I said, I haven't seen you in so long. Let's do it at your house. So I'm gonna head over there because I just wanna see him. It's been way too long with the advent of COVID, all that hang went away. So I'm gonna go do that. Then I'm gonna also have to go do a PCR test because they just contacted us and said we all need to be tested before we go to Vegas to do the Grammy pre-show. So I'm going to try to take care of that today too. But I found out today I was checking, and I always wish that the pre-show would be televised. But I found out it is going to be streamed. It'll be on Sunday, 12:30 Los Angeles time, 3:30 New York time, and whatever in between. There's two options to go to. You can go to the Grammy YouTube page, is going to be streaming it, the Grammy YouTube page, or go to www.grammy.com. And that has the streaming apparently on that. And Cheche just sent out a note and said when we start on Friday rehearsing, we got 88 pieces of music to do for this show. You know, it's an insane show. It's really fun. And tons of awards and performances on it. And this is a lot of the stuff that'll never make prime time, you know, like with classical music and jazz and world and technical things, and all that stuff. So worth checking out, it's absolutely beautiful out now. We had a ton of rain yesterday. It really pounded hard, which was just great for everything. Everything's looking like emerald green and flowering outside. It's just beautiful. This time of year is always magical. And the best part for me was not a drop of water in my basement. And I went out and I looked at where the pipe, all the stuff we replaced was down on the hillside, and water was pouring out of that. So everything's working properly. And thank God, after all the chaos of the flooding basement and all that, it's all working perfectly. So that's great. Let's see. Well, musically, I was thinking about, I don't really think I've really addressed this much. When we had our band, The Section, back in the 70s, we were James Taylor's band, is where it all began. When I first started with James, the band was Danny Cooch Korchmar on guitar, Russ Kunkel on drums, Carole King on piano, and myself on bass and James. Now, Carole was encouraged to show some of her music during our shows, which led to her getting a record deal and going in and cutting Tapestry. So all of a sudden we had a member of the band who had like the biggest record in the world. So needless to say, it was time for Carole to move on and pursue her career, even though she had a massive career as a songwriter before Tapestry, starting back when she was a teenager. This was really her time as an artist to do this. So I've talked about it before. I was doing an album at A&M Records with Tom Jans and Mimi Farina. Mimi is Joan Baez's younger sister. And on that session was a keyboard player named Craig Durgee. And he's amazing, great player. And I contacted Peter Asher and I said, I just worked with this cat. And he's like, unbelievable. And if we're looking to get somebody to replace Carole, I think this would be a great fit. And he came in and it was a perfect fit. And during the course of us being on the road with James, we weren't opening his show yet. We were just his band. But James was never real enthusiastic about a lot of sound checking. So he would get everything together and then he would go off and do what he wanted to do at that point. And we were just so anxious to play that we just would jam. We'd just sit there jamming until they were ready to open the doors. And at some point, Peter Asher played us a tape, and we said, "That's great. What's that?" He goes, "That was your sound check. That's you guys playing." And he got us a record deal with Warner Brothers, and we did. Our first album was just called The Section. It had a pie on the cover with our name in it. Gary Burden was the artwork, and his wife Annette baked the pie for that. Absolutely inedible, because it was all kinds of that stuff they do for when they're showing off food that you see for commercials and stuff like that. Looks great, inedible, because it's got all kinds of stuff on it that would kill you. But it's great for photography. Then we did a second album for Warner Brothers called Forward Motion. And then after that, things just with the label weren't going great, because they didn't understand what we were doing, and they brought us in partly thinking they were going to get the Eagles or something, and they ended up with a rock fusion instrumental band. So we got another record deal after that with Capitol, and we did a third album called Fork It Over on Capitol. And then after that, it just dissolved, because we had a cult following, but no real label support. And but once we became The Section, which is James named us, Taylor, we were thinking about, now that we got this, getting a deal and all that stuff. He said, "Well, you guys are the rhythm section. Why don't you just call yourselves A Section?" We went, "Fine, I don't care about the name. Let's just get going." And we became the opening act for James, and we also were the opening act for Jackson Browne. So we would come out and play our set, then they would do a little bit of change of setup on it, and then we'd come right back out and play James or Jackson's show. And that went on for quite a while. And towards the very end of our existence as a band, David Lindley started playing with us too, and that was just incredible. But I'm just going to address a couple of things from our second album called Forward Motion. And again, the band is Danny Korchmar, Cooch, on guitar, Russ Kunkel on drums, Craig Durgee on keyboards, and myself on bass. So the first song I'm going to play right now is called Bullet Train. And the beauty of, we had just been in Japan. I thought, let's call it Bullet Train, the song. The beauty of being a instrumental group is you can kind of call a song anything you want. It doesn't really matter at that point. It's not like you're picking a lyric out of a song to make that be the title of it. So here we go. This is I love these guys. I mean, the thing that's fun right now is being in the immediate family. I'm still playing with Cooch and with Russ. And with the immediate family, the only change is we don't have a keyboard player in the band, so Craig was not involved in this. And in the immediate family, Waddy Wachtel and Steve Postel are in it. So, but to be with 3/4 of the section after 51 years, it's pretty cool. It's 52 years practically now. So here we go. This is Bullet Train. Yeah. It was an energetic little grouping there. The thing that was great too is everything we cut it all live. I mean, we were just we got in the studio and it's like all live. You know, one or two takes of each song. We were done. Some of what it's going on here is that the album was produced by the band and Robert A. Pear. Now, Robert A. Pear also engineered the album. He had Clover Recording Studios where we did tons of records, from us to Neil Sedaka to Howdy Moon. He kind of, just name it. We did lots and lots of recording at Clover. Bob Bernstein was the second engineer, and it was mastered by Bernie Grunman. And we did this album in 1973. And when we did our first album in 72, when we were out, we were also on tour opening for Mahavishnu Orchestra. And it was during the course of that tour that Billy Cobham and I became friends. And so about the same time we did this album is when I went back to New York and did Spectrum with Billy Cobham. So this was a great period. I mean, just the instrumental kind of rock and jazz fusion and all the stuff going on was it was a remarkable period. Now, one of the things I've never really liked doing, I'm one of these guys, I know a few other players like this too. I don't really like doing bass solos. I'll do something like, if there's something that's a hooky thing in the context of a song. There's a few songs I did with James Taylor where I did like a solo thing in the intro, but to actually, just take it, and go play a solo now. I love hearing great bass players doing great solos. It's just, for me, it's not part of my DNA. But they said we'd love to put a bass solo on this album. So I thought about it for a minute, and I hardly use any pedals, but I've been through a million pedals over the years, and I plugged in a whole bunch of stuff going from my old gray Echoplex. I plugged that in. I had a bunch of these Dan Armstrong boxes, the Blue Clipper and the Yellow Humper and the Red Ranger and all these things. I plugged them all in together and plugged them into the bass, and I had a whole bunch of other stuff too. And I thought, well, hell, if I'm just going to do something totally unexpected on this. And I ended up doing this live. What you're going to hear now was cut absolutely live. This is one take. So this is all me almost doing like sound on sound with the Echoplex and all of that stuff. But this is totally live. And then when we would play live, I would take this even a little bit farther. But this is called Get Down, Piltdown. And for anybody who's an anthropologist, Piltdown Man was something you might know about. But I also like Piltdown Pig, who was part of the Wonder Warthog scene from the old period of Zap Comics and the San Francisco poster movement. And in one of my paintings, I've got Piltdown Pig I painted him in there, and I've got Wonder Warthog talking to LBJ. It's just insane stuff. So this is my bass solo. This is Get Down, Piltdown. This is one take live. So here we go. This is pretty ridiculous. A lot of volume pedal and stuff. If you actually have the real recording in headphones, there's a ton of panning, so it's spinning around all over the place and stuff. It's just ridiculous. And live, it got really intense. This is really kind of mild compared to how it evolved live. But that was really, I said, look, if I'm going to do something, I'm just not going to just go out. I'm just going to go crazy and stuff. So it was always fun. The audience was like just going, what the fuck? What's going on up there? I'm going to do one more tune here. This was the title track from the album. This is called Forward Motion. And again, this was our second of our three albums with the section. So here we go. Love these guys. So this was so much fun playing with them. Here we go. Started. Little harmonics. Craig. Love Roads. I always loved that. I'd look over at Craig, and he had his Fender Rhodes. He had his Mini Moog on it. He had his Oberheim big expander module synth next to him. So he was like all over the place with that. But the beauty of that was that everything's live. There's no sitting there overdubbing and fixing it in the mix. Just play it. Damn it, son. So that's from our Forward Motion album. I'm going to pack up some things now and head over to John Gilliton's. The world goes on. Was watching the news this morning, and they had it was a meeting between Russian representatives, and I'm not sure if it was NATO or it might have been NATO, but I mean the people come in and they're so paranoid about being poisoned and stuff. They won't even shake hands or have water or anything at these meetings. I mean, the madness of all this is just beyond comprehension. Trying to figure out how to get out of it now, after destroying everything. And it's just so much horror involved in this. And again, COVID's still with us. Frontline workers are still working. I know, because I got to go get a COVID test to go to work. It's not over at all. for those of you who are Clubhouse members, remember we have a Clubhouse meeting tomorrow, Wednesday. I'm really looking forward to that and catching up. It'll be nice to see everybody before I head off to the Vegas, and get started on this pile of craziness that we're going to be getting into there with a great band, great Cheche Alara, our musical director, and it's great. It's really fun. So, and like I said, though, check www.grammy.com or the Grammy YouTube page, and it will be streaming live starting at 12:30 on Sunday, Los Angeles time. So take good care. I'm going to get running here, and I will see you guys all tomorrow, and I'll see our Clubhouse members tomorrow, and like that. So all the best wishes, everybody. Bye-bye.